Welcome back to We Talk Boxing, and today we will discuss the return to the ring of former lineal and unified lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez, who takes on Pedro Campa on the 13th of August in Las Vegas. This fight sees Lopez moving up to the junior welterweight division of 140 pounds. Now, before we continue, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for more boxing related content. This bout between Teo and Campa was subject to approval from the New York State Boxing Commission Board, and it was confirmed via Boxing Scene website as well. Also, Teo, this is going to be his first fight back after suffering a split decision loss to George Kambosos last November. So, Teo has kind of suggested after that defeat as well that potentially, the weight had something to do with his performance as well, which he felt kind of drained. And that's potentially one of the reasons why he's moving up to the 140 pound division. Now, Teo's current boxing record stands at 16 wins with 12 KOs to his name, and obviously only suffering that one loss as well, which was to George Kambosos the last time out. His opponent, on the other hand, Pedro Campa, his boxing record is a pretty good one, to be fair. It's 34 wins with 23 KOs to his name, only suffering one loss as well, which was a KO loss, and he's got one draw in his record as well. Now, the difference between Campa's record and obviously Teo's record is that Campa hasn't really fought outside of Mexico. This would be his second outing outside of his home nation of Mexico, compared to Lopez, who has obviously had multiple fights in America. So currently, obviously, Josh Taylor has vacated the WBA belt in order to try and force a rematch between himself and obviously Jack Catterall. And I obviously will do a separate video on this if that fight gets made between Catterall and Taylor. Now, Teo has obviously shared the ring with some good experienced fighters such as Richard Comey, Lomachenko and Kambosos. However, his opponent, Pedro, hasn't really got any notable names on his record, and all of his fights, except one, as I said, have been in Mexico, and he's mainly fought against Mexican opposition. Obviously, you guys in the comments could potentially let me know if any of these, any other Pedro's opponents have been, at that good level opposition. I don't really know too many of the Mexican fighters. But obviously, for Teo Lopez, since moving up to the next weight class, Teo has been ranked quite highly in all four of the boxing organisations. Obviously, number 4 with the WBO, number 7 with the IBF, number 6 with the WBC, and obviously with the WBA as well, is ranked number 8. So he's ranked quite highly, in the junior welterweight division, which could potentially, see him challenge for one of the vacant belts, which Josh Taylor has recently vacated as well. And an easy route, not an easy route, but because there's no easy routes in boxing, but a route that Teo could potentially go down could be the WBA. Do you know what I mean? And he's got to kind of give hats off and say thanks to Josh Taylor, because obviously he has vacated that belt, which means that he doesn't have to wait in line, and that belt is vacant. Obviously the number 1 and number 2 in that division will potentially fight for that belt, but give it a couple of fights for Teo, in the junior welterweight division, then potentially we could see him challenge whoever is the champion at that time. And Teo has to, he has to look good. And I think the most important thing, he has to get the victories. Do you know what I mean? And potentially, like I said, if he does look good and he does get the wins, he could potentially climb up the rankings and maybe challenge whoever is the new WBA champion as well. Now, my views on Lopez moving up weight divisions to challenge a fighter who isn't ranked in the top 15, I think it's a smart move because it allows Lopez, to fight against a fighter who has a good KO record, and he may be durable. Now, it's hard to tell from, Pedro Campa's record to suggest that he is durable, as he's only been stopped once, and this was, the only time which he travelled outside of his country really. And the caliber of fighters that he's fought against are unknown to me, so I'm unable to kind of comment, about how good the opposition that he's fought against really was to pretty much cause him any sort of issues. But for Teo, if he doesn't look great and he struggles to impose himself on a on a natural junior welterweight fighter, then he could potentially, choose to fight another fighter in that division and see how it goes. And kind of judge and analyze his performance. And if it doesn't work again against another junior welterweight, then he could always move back down. And a lot of you are probably thinking, well, he moved up for a reason because obviously he was struggling to make weight. But how I see it is that if he moves up, to junior welterweight and he struggles, and he can't really impose that physicality on fighters, or he's not really causing them any troubles, or he can't stop them, or he's not carrying the same power that he carried in the lightweight division, then his only option really would be to move back down. Do you know what I mean? And he may have to bite down on the gum shield to lose weight and to be strict, but at least he's got the advantage on the lightweight fighters. So realistically, TL moving up divisions to fight against the fighter who isn't in the top 15 is a good one, because it's again, you're kind of relearning and just kind of testing out your skills on a naturally bigger man, but to see if you could have an impact on that person as well. Because again, there's some good fights in there which could potentially be made for TL, if he comes through this, such as the Catterall fight, the Progress fight as well. O'Hara Davis is another good fighter that I'd like to see him in there with, which, O'Hara Davis talks a lot really, so, I'd love TL to kind of shut him up there. But you've also got, obviously, Jose Carlos Ramirez and Jose Zapta as well. There's some good fights which could potentially be made, but obviously TL has to kind of get through the next couple of fights at junior welterweight to kind of see how he feels, and if he's still having the same sort of success that he was having in the lighter weight. Now, this is just a short video, just to let you guys know that obviously that Teal's moving up and he's fighting, on August the 13th against, Pedro Campa. So you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you see this fight going on August the 13th? How do you see Teal getting on in the junior welterweight division? And who would you like him to fight against? Or which belts do you reckon he should go after? Please like, subscribe, comment and share these videos for more boxing related content. Bless.